I've always considered myself a cynic. It's pretty common for people to tell me, look on the bright side, or things aren't that bad, whenever I would criticize government policies or the purpose of historical actions I found unjustifiable. I frequently argue with classmates or friends about how the government should be organized and how the world should work, ending in frustration for both sides. Because my views were such a large source of contention between me and my friends, I began to view my cynicism as a very negative aspect of my personality, albeit one I could not change without feeling dishonest about my true opinions. Not too long ago I was talking on the phone with my dad, who shares many of my same views, to recount a particularly frustrating debate with a friend, where my argument that a self-governing population would be ideal and viable, but would require a government collapse was shot down as being too unrealistic. My dad surprised me by laughing at this and saying, "That's because you and I are optimists." This gave me a pause. Was what I was advocating, which was, admittedly, a complete fall and restructuring of a 2-century-old government, actually optimistic rather than just cynical? I've thought over this conversation many times since then, and reevaluated my views and beliefs with a less biased eye. They had always seemed so overly critical and pessimistic, even to me. How could they be considered optimistic? Eventually I came to a conclusion that I now hold close to the core of my beliefs. A conviction that things are not anywhere near perfect the way they are may be cynical, but isn't a true conviction that things could change for the better also optimistic? I had always considered unbridled optimism rather ridiculous. After all, what use is looking on the bright side of everything when things could be so much better? But now I've arrived at the conclusion that optimism can be useful and even a powerful motivator, but only when paired with a realistic view of the world with all its faults. Cynicism is useful in this regard, but can be a paralytic if not paired with a bit of optimism, because endless criticism of the way things are without the hope that they can change provides no motivation to try and make things better. This pairing of cynicism and optimism is important in many of my core values, such as my conviction that a government run entirely by the people is much preferable to the indirect democracy currently in place, or that the raising awareness for a disease does nothing if no money goes towards researching a cure, or even that structuring education around the lowest common denominator holds back students with the potential to benefit humanity as a whole. I believe in the power of cynical optimism to provide the motivation behind all of the changes for the better in the world. Seeing the faults in the world and believing in the ability to change them is important in making this the best of all possible worlds, but cannot be done without the feet planted firmly on the ground and a head in the clouds.